Well, good day again, colleagues. Let us continue with the program of Astana Finance Days, and I welcome you to our next session, which is the Kazakhstan and Gulf countries economic cooperation. Some people may know that AFC acts as a focal point for the investors from the Gulf countries into our country, and these partnerships that were built with the different companies from the region, from many different countries in the region, have been so far fruitful. I think that the potential of this cooperation is much higher. Many of these projects, of course, structured through Astana International Financial Center. If we speak about the numbers, we have now 64 companies with the capital from the GCC countries registered with Astana International Financial Center. The number of investments will grow as these projects go into the execution stage. So to discuss more in detail the potential of the cooperation between Kazakhstan and the countries of the Gulf, we have a distinguished panel of speakers. So first of all, let me introduce the panel. First, His Excellency Nurlan Sauranbayev, Minister of Transportation of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Mr. Omar Bahram, CEO of UzOman Investment Company and Chairman of the Solid Core Resources. Welcome. Mr. Abdulla Zayed, Director of Business and Project Development at Masdar and CEO of MW Energy. And Mr. Amer Mahasen, Managing Director of Power International Holding in Kazakhstan. First, of course, I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Minister Sauranbayev. He manages very important, makes a policy for the very important area that we have extensively discussed during the first plenary session about the transit potential of the country. He's also, as you may know, former CEO of the Kazakhstan Railroads, Kazakhstan Temir Jolu, and have been himself implementing some of these projects and cooperation with the companies from United Arab Emirates with Abu Dhabi ports. He has created the JVs for railroads. So, Mr. Sauranbayev, please, could you share your or the government's policy in terms of developing the transportation system and transportation in Kazakhstan, and maybe share your experience of working with the GCC countries? Please.
Thank you very much, Renat, for giving the floor. Kazakhstan, being in the center of Eurasia, has great transit potential, and transit is a very big competitive advantage. And the legacy we have, we should be implementing and using it wisely. And the first area, it is about route towards China, and the key transit flows are already developed now. As you probably know, today we have two railroad bypass, that's the Constantinople, and today about 65 to 80 million ton cargo is our put-through capacity. Bakhti Ayagos is coming up soon, and East Europe, this route will be overall implemented with the volumes coming towards Kazakhstan are quite significant. The transit is second oil now. And the second route is north-south. Basically, in the central part, the countries are quite big with good export potential. Overall export potential of the countries located in the middle of the continent is about 200 to 150 million tons of the export potential. Those are the volumes which are consumed by African countries, Gulf countries, India, Pakistan, and there are also some goods which are, even with today's still not developed tariffs, can still have quite a good margin and markups. As Previously, in my capacity being the CEO of the railroad company, we looked at the groups of goods of with a volume of more than 50 million tons. Even with today's prices, they can be going through the north-south route. The key volumes, so conditionally speaking, the sector to implement them, those are the countries of the Gulf. We are trying to build this bridge now, and our assumption is that about 50 to 60 million of the export goods can be the cargo without any alternative globally, as for a special vegetable oil, for fertilizers. This is something which can be in a high demand in Gulf countries. The concentration where we see key investment. With China, it's already quite evolved. The government has invested 35 billion USD and about 50 billion USD for the East West route development. Today, one of the priorities for our ministry is to focus on north-south road. Of course, it's quite a challenging road. There are a lot of legal aspects, and even if we comply with all the legal specificity for the food items, for the forestry, those are the products we can trade. Today, the major railroad route was via Iran, and today we are working with Afghan route, and it's very difficult to be the pioneer to build the corridor. We were using auto vehicles to go through the Afghan route. So basically now we are trying to build this route for the cargo coming from the center of Eurasia to the Gulf countries. And of course, for the Gulf, it's a big hub. And we can use it to go to India and African countries. This is one of the major routes we are currently working on. Thank you very much.
Invite Mr. Omar, the CEO of UzOman investment company, and as I said, chairman of the Solid Core Resources. Many of you may know that the redomiciliation of polymetal and then rebranding into solid core was a landmark transaction for Astana International Financial Center, and the decision for Omani Sovereign Wealth Fund to invest a big stake in solid core shows I guess the vision that the Oman has to invest into the region. So I would like, Omar, ask you, if I may, to tell us a little bit about UzOman investment company. That's something I personally not very familiar. I'm sure that the people in the room are not. And then tell us about maybe your strategy in investing into the region, sectors maybe you look, and etc. I think that would be really helpful for the audience. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. I think so. To start with UzOman, before UzOman, we had a long-term strategy in Central Asia as a whole. People won't know that Oman was one of the first countries to invest in Kazakhstan, actually, from the 90s. And we continue to invest in Kazakhstan. Solid Core is just one of the famous investments that we have to date, and successfully redomiciled into AIFC. As for UzOman started in 2010 as a strategic joint venture with the government of Uzbekistan. And it started off with 100 million capital, and now grew to over 400 million by this year, by 2025, and continues to grow to date. It's sector agnostic, so we don't look at specific sectors, being that Uzbekistan is a frontier market, and you have to be very opportunistic in these markets to capture the right assets and the right value chain. And then, so we moved into Solid Core recently in the last couple of years, but we don't stop there. From Solid Core came this idea of a bigger Central Asia fund. We have a lot of experience in the region, being first Gulf investors in this region. And we thought that establishing a new fund by pooling in other sovereign investors to come with us and go on this journey and tap into the real growth in these markets. And today we're attracting capital from across the globe, including from our Gulf peers, under our management with our expertise. Looking at the sectors that we're looking at to date, obviously the biggest sector would be transport and logistics, given Kazakhstan is a natural land bridge between East and West, and could be the gateway for the North-South corridor as well. Secondly, we look at food and agriculture, given the rising incomes and growing populations. Thirdly, we look at consumer retail, and you have totally a young population in this region. So you tap into the right sectors that have scale and growth. Lastly, the sectors that can achieve certain leapfrogging is the fintech and technology. You have a young population on average between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and in the region in general. So put these sectors together, you have room to scale and room to achieve certain targets and bring value to your investors and sustainable growth to the region itself. So in summary, what we do as Oman is sustainable investment, growth, and of course, provide value to the economies that we invest in through strategic partnerships.
Thank you. If I may, I'll add one additional question I'll ask is, how do you source deals from the region? I mean, a lot of people would be interested, like who have projects, how to be on your investment radar?
Well, normally it's bilateral sourcing most of the time. And this region depends on networking. You need to know the right people. You need to be engrossed in the
that's why we have AFD
environment. And that's why you have this forum.
Yes.
Exactly. And I encourage everyone to reach out to us, ask us how we're doing. We'll be very happy and accommodative. We have our team as well present here, and we'll be very welcoming.
Thank you. That I think was a helpful piece of information. Now I would like to invite to the stage my good friend Abdulla from Masdar. Masdar and the project on the 1 gigawatt wind power plant is one of the flagship projects, I may say, between Kazakhstan and UAE that I myself was quite involved. So could you please tell us about the project itself? How does it fit into the portfolio of Masdar? And what do you think beyond this project, what do you see the potential is in the Kazakhstan and maybe broader region?
Thank you, Renat. And it's always a pleasure to be here in Astana and also with you. And thank you for all the support. That's really much appreciated. So maybe I'll start off talking about a little bit about Masdar, what we do very quickly, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we do in Kazakhstan. As Masdar, we've been established back in 2006 with a mandate to develop renewable energy projects in UAE and globally. And actually the name Masdar, it is an Arabic name with the meaning of the source. And the vision and the mission that we had, that was we want to be the source of renewable energy, the source of knowledge, the source of development, the source of deployment of renewable energy globally. And that's how we started back in 2006, when not a lot of people were talking about renewables, not a lot of people who did any or develop any frameworks or regulations to support renewables implementation. So we started almost 20 years ago from the UAE. We are backed by 3 main shareholders, one of them being Moderator investment company, which is one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the United Arab Emirates, with an asset base of more than $220 billion US. We've also backed by ADNOC, one of the largest oil and gas companies in the United Arab Emirates and globally also. And then the third shareholder is Taqa, one of the largest utilities in the region, in the Middle East, and they're also active in this region and globally. So with the support of our 3 shareholders that are extremely diverse in nature, investing in multiple sectors and backing us to be in Kazakhstan, also opens doors to multiple companies in UAE to consider Kazakhstan, to consider investment in Kazakhstan, and to look at our success in Kazakhstan as a roadmap and a benchmark for them to grow in Kazakhstan. But that's something we are very proud as Masdar to be one of the first largest investors here in Kazakhstan coming from the UAE, with the support obviously from the government of Kazakhstan, our partners, our clients and stakeholders here in Kazakhstan. Around 1 year ago, we've signed an agreement with the government to develop 1 gigawatt of wind projects in Jambul region here in Kazakhstan. This project consists of 3 main components, and I think we always keep saying wind, and people forget what is actually this project is. So one main component is the wind, yes, and that wind turbines and the wind energy will create electricity, right, to deliver to the consumers. And the rough estimate that this project, the electricity generated from the wind will be delivered to almost 300,000 homes in Kazakhstan and will be supplied them with sufficient electricity. The second component of the project is the BESS and the battery storage component. And the reason why we have that, and as you know, the wind energy is not consistent. You know, sometimes the wind blows, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't blow, you don't have electricity. So you need to, some way, control the profile of the generation that you have from these kind of projects and manage the technical challenges coming from this profile. So we installed a 600 megawatt hour battery storage that will be able to store the energy from the wind and then dispatch it on the grid to stabilize the generation of electricity. And the third main components of the project is the transmission lines. So for this project, we are building more than 300 kilometers of transmission lines that will support eventually the connectivity and the integration of the national grid within the Jambul region through this project. Right? So it is a massive project that have multiple stakeholders, multiple partners involved in doing it. We are developing this project in partnership with Samruk Energy and KIDF with the support of AIFC, Minister of Energy, Financial Settlement Center, KIGOC, and many other relevant authorities within Kazakhstan. But this is what we're doing in Kazakhstan. This is the meaning of what we're doing in Kazakhstan. And also, this is who we represent to attract more investors in Kazakhstan through this collaboration with the government.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting, right? So, thank you. Yes. Just like an observation, if I may share, right? Yeah. So we have Oman investing, as you said, in Kazakhstan, like from 90s, right? But doing it kind of discreetly, not everybody talks about it. Then we have UAE, when there are different companies and from different industries coming in and more doing like a one-on-one G2G projects. And then we have Power International Holding from Qatar, like they came in, everybody knows they're coming in, they came in, right? And Amer, you have established already 7 or 8 companies in the AFC. As I said, everyone knows that the Qataris investor is coming in. You acquired Power International Holding, acquired the mobile operators. We know that there are large gas projects in your portfolio. So yeah, tell us about your strategy in coming to Kazakhstan. Apart from these 2 sectors, are you looking beyond that for investment opportunities? What's the strategy again? And how was the experience of working in Kazakhstan so far?
Let me take this opportunity first to thank you and your team for this such a platform, engaging platform, engaging all the high-level people, policymakers, businessmen, investors, and all reliable people here in Kazakhstan. You know, Renat, and you are the most important guy who knows. Power International Holding did huge investments in Kazakhstan and focuses mainly on energy sector through its subsidiary UCC Holding. So we are implementing large scales of projects in energy. The Southern Pipeline, gas pipeline, Bino-Buzoy, Shymkent, and the Northern one, Kostanay Aktubay, in partnership with Samruk Kazina and the Kazakh Gas. besides for the power plant in Kuzlarda, 1,100 megawatt. It's a combined cycle gas power plant, in addition to gas processing plant 2.5 BCMA in Kashagan. Yes, in Kashagan region. So energy sector is main focus. Second thing, the telecommunication, as you mentioned, through acquiring Altel, Tele2 Tele2 from Kazakh Telecom. And recently we established PowerMind, our subsidiary, in order to focus on IT and AI with digital solutions. And now, yes, in the upcoming years, back to your question, in the upcoming years we are focusing on the mining sector, because we believe it's a promising and booming industry in Kazakhstan. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, we've heard of few industries that I think that the investors, although I would say foreign investors, but especially from the Gulf are focused on is transport and logistics, mining. Which is good to hear, is IT and this thing. So we see that the Kazakhstan is growing importance in that area, and that's really the industry of the future, I believe. Thank you, Amer, and I would like to hear more, a little bit details further on. Nurlan Ermekovich, если можно, вот.
Mr. Nurlan, if I may, I have a question for you. You personally participated in structuring a number of JVs with Arab investors, with the Gulf country investors. Could you share your experience with us? I'm sure that would be quite interesting. You're cooperating with investors from many different countries. And as we're discussing right now, the main source of the capital is Middle East countries, Asia and China. What are our enablers? Why do we see the interest of the investors? What do we do from our end? And what can we do in order to attract more investors? And maybe some more of your vision and mission. Thank you, Renat. It was a great question. So first of all, talking about the assessment that the Big Four was given, when reaching 100 million tons of transit through Kazakhstan, railway profit will be over 4 trillion tenge. That in itself gives a certain investment benefits for all the companies that work in this system. I mean, in the transport sector, such as logistics and shipping companies, etc. So this is a big focus for us. There are some latest trends that happen at the market. For example, we have top 10 companies. They're all maritime shipment companies. But, whenever pandemic happened, the shipment for Shanghai to Duisburg grew from just 800 to 1,400. So such changes of prices are, of course, extremely important. And all the shipments, all the routes are highly politicized. And so we have 3 or 4 potential bottlenecks along those routes. And so major companies now start to leave the maritime transportation and start the land transportation. Costco, for example, has big port infrastructure. This is one of the largest group, the Shanghai group. It has a number of ports, and Luingan now participates in a number of our projects. And so the port infrastructure that works there is then reflected on the land, the so-called dry ports in Kazakhstan. Talking about the companies from the Gulf countries, Japan was one of the few first ones to come. And when we created a dry port at Khargos, they were our major consultants and they helped us with this dry port. Right now, we also work with Abu Dhabi Port Company. We have a JV with them, and jointly we developed the route north to south. All the Gulf countries have a lot of interest towards us Yemen, Qatar, as far as investments are concerned, and specifically north-south route, we are open to cooperation with many. There is a good foundation for this partnership, and we have a good amount of transportation that should be interesting to these companies. So I think can be quite beneficial. Thank you.
If I can go back to you again, you did some intro on your investment strategy and the history of your investments into the region. We, of course, at Astana International Financial Center, our primary goal is to develop your proper capital market and that the investments keep on flowing to nurture our economy. So if you can share, like, what are the key enablers? You know, we are quite an agile jurisdiction, right? We strict at the same time, but we are agile and can adapt to the requirements of the market. So what do you think is critical for the international investors? We've heard some of the factors in the morning, but especially you and the Oman sovereign funds. What are the key factors? What are the key enablers?
I think I'll answer this question in the context of the Central Asia Fund. So we did a full review on where to domicile our fund. And not surprisingly, AIFC was the choice.
Yeah.
So I think you've done an excellent step in establishing the set of incentives given to the investors and the jurisdiction and the common law principles that you put in as well. All of these are listed out for anyone to read. I think they're very clear. It's a good step. I think as you progress, a couple of options in terms of liquidity, alternative liquidity options, developing your secondary markets. This could be very important into allowing investors an exit route. Us mid-cap investors always look for exits and recycling of capital the whole time. It's very dynamic. And it's not only Kazakhstan, it's a regional issue as a whole. Liquidity seems to sometimes be lacking. So I think you can be on the right track in developing that and moving it into more modern sort of developed phase, basically. And secondly is, having more volumes in terms of the mid-cap, attracting more investors like us, having platforms like us, more platforms that have pooled investments. And maybe tailor some incentives for those platforms that come in, because these platforms are more agile in deploying capital. They're not so restrictive as individual investors. So I would say, in short, more liquidity options and more tailored incentives for pooled investments and platforms like us.
Yeah, if you can be more like for pooled investors, for what we call them collective investment schemes, we have tax incentives here, we have different structures for your funds, right? Umbrella structure, feeder fund structures, and etc. I think that the issue could be with the fundraising. So you don't come here to fundraise, right? You fundraise it at your own other markets.
Or globally, yeah.
Or globally, exactly. So so when we say like another incentives is maybe being a little bit specific on that?
It doesn't have to be something written. I think the best thing you've done is be open when we come and talk to you. You know that the best thing you can get from a center like this is that they are open to suggestions and open to any one of us just talking to them and explaining what we need. And you've been very helpful, I think, up to date. And nothing bad can be said about that. I'm just saying in the context of what we've already discussed.
Yeah, sure.
And you are very receptive to it. So it's nothing new. But from our perspective, we'd like to see more of it. Basically more liquidity options, I think. That is the key word. Liquidity, alternative liquidity options like bonds, ETFs, and market making, more market making around. And that will come with volume, basically. Yeah. I think time will tell, and it will come with volume. We did the right step, I think. We're bringing in a fund that's pulling in a lot of other sovereign wealth funds with high capacity to deploy. We're sizing it to a certain level that is acceptable to these markets. And hopefully, we could be an attraction for more funds like us to come in. And that hopefully will create more liquidity in the future. So we're also part of the journey as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is our joint effort, right, in creating liquidity. And I think also in creating liquidity, it's important to bring, as you said again, a lot of the investors maybe. So I think the projects, big projects, and especially with the well-renowned companies like Masdar, who have experience of structuring financing for big projects in other jurisdictions, including UAE, is key. So if we talk, when you go into the financing phase of this project, can we expect to see, or should we expect to see the new names of investors coming into this country? Because like, we know the IFIs who already are here, or other investors.
Yeah.
Any new names we will see from the project?
No, good question, Renat. And actually, we've already started the financing process. So we've already started engaging with the multiple lenders and the multiple financiers for this project. It's going to be a mix between both, Renat. So a mix between, I think, DFIs, IFIs that you have seen, such as AIIB, ISDB, and so on. However, we're also bringing lenders from Abu Dhabi, from UAE. So we're introducing also, I think, to project finance in IPP in Kazakhstan, Abu Dhabi commercial banks. And we are in active and advanced discussion with them to come to be part of the lending group for our projects in Kazakhstan. We're also bringing First Abu Dhabi Bank to be part of the lender group for our project. Right? For these two banks have never financed IPP projects in Kazakhstan. We're hoping that this will open the door to them to do more and more in Kazakhstan when it comes to the energy sector. I think they already have some operations to some extent in the country, but never in this sector. Right? And we've done similar approach in multiple countries all over the world where we attract new lenders groups to these kind of projects.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, right? So the companies like yourself who have been working with your own lenders and investors in other jurisdictions is a great opportunity to bring Kazakhstan and the region to someone's, to their attention, not someone's, I mean their attention, right? And then they can look at the not just risk profile of the region, but you, because you are the main like credit party for them, right? And that's a great to hear that we'll see the more and more new names. Any actually like collaboration between like, do you guys jointly look at the same projects, any in the region, or like you guys are all independently?
I think we just met and had an interesting conversation with
Omar. We did have a conversation. I think.
Yeah, sometimes you have to travel here to meet your neighbors, right?
So it was definitely a good network, and I think we spoke not just about this region and our experience in this region, but also in Middle East, and if we can do something in Middle East. Right? But this, I think, platform connected us not just in Kazakhstan, also globally.
There are some overlapping interests, but I think the key takeaway is it's good to have more than one avenue. You have the large infrastructure investors that actually invest in certain types of infrastructure and developers. You have us, the mid-cap investment that look for growth capital and support the sustainable growth of the economy. And then you have other large investors investing in different sectors as well. So it's a mix. So you need to have that mix in your in your jurisdiction.
Yeah, definitely. That's how we look at. We want strategic investors. Everyone, right, talks about the foreign direct investments, which means we have investors coming in and doing more operational work, called the stake and control. But what we at AIFC are focused on is portfolio investors, or those so-called financial investors, who are actually the source of liquidity, right? Those are the ones who don't have this operational attachment to the project. They came in, they look for the returns, they look for the balance between the risk and return. And of course, the Gulf is now the source of capital. That's where the capital is in today's world, and what a lot of the jurisdictions are looking for. And we are really like grateful that we are on the radar and in important point where all of your countries and all of the sovereign wealth funds from your countries are looking for. So if I may ask, like, for final remarks on your views on this Kazakhstan and GCC cooperation from your perspectives, what are the potentials? And again, if there are any asks from AIFC, or please, any thoughts? Yeah.
From nothing in particular, but what I would say is, when we create, from my perspective, we're creating this new platform, this new private equity platform that we're bringing in. It taps into exactly what you're saying, financial investments, no attachment to operation, looking for return, but also it supports growth because it injects capital into certain sectors that supports the growth, makes it a champion, basically. And it will be a shame if we don't have Kazakhstan on this platform. So this is like an opportunity for us to drive this forward. From AIFC perspective, I think I would try to think of something to ask.
Sure, later.
after this forum, since you opened it up.
Thank you.
Yep. And I think, from my side, I just want to complete the story of what happens after we raise the financing and bring in the equity and the capital, right? So a lot of the money that we bring in into Kazakhstan, whether through debt financing or equity investment, will eventually cascade down to the local communities, to the local manufacturers, to the local contractors, right? But that's also overall enhances the available liquidity and cash within the local communities, within the local companies, within the local contractors, for even for them to grow more and more, right? So what we're talking about is not just building a project and then we're leaving. This is something that will be sustainable for overall for the economy. This will increase the liquidity overall within the economy. And this project that we are doing, it will stay for a minimum of 25 years. And we as an investor will stay also for 25 years, and we will look to do more and more projects and bring in additional liquidity in the market.
Thank you, Abdulla, for the last remark, because exactly attracting investment is not just about the process, right? Where the final goal is actually developing the economy and helping the local communities and local people and elevating the living standards. Well, thank you for the contributions for this discussion. I think we are a little bit of running late on because lunchtime has already started. So thank you everyone for joining us for this panel discussion. Thank you for the speakers for joining us. I believe in an agenda. We have an hour break, and then we will continue with the schedule of Astana Finance Days. Thank you. And if I may ask the speakers for a group photo.